Okay, so this is Jessica Buckley's speech number 3 on recycling. The topic of recycling has been around for decades. It involves processing used materials into new products to prevent waste of potentially useful materials. It was realized that throwing our problems out the window and into a landfill wasn't a permanent solution. Our process of recycling, reusing, and reducing has grown over the years, but are our efforts enough? Recycling is an easy step we can all take and work into our daily routines to help save energy, reduce waste, and preserve our natural resources. On April 22, 1970, the first Earth Day was celebrated. Earth Day founder Gaylord Nelson, then a U.S. Senator from Wisconsin, proposed the first nationwide environmental protest, and it was to shake up the political establishment and force this issue onto a national agenda. It was a gamble, he said, but it worked. At the time, Americans were splurging lead gas through massive V8 sedans. Industry bleached out smoke and sludge with little fear of legal consequences or bad press. Air pollution was commonly accepted as the smell of prosperity. 20 million Americans took to the streets, parks, and auditoriums to demonstrate for a healthy, sustainable environment on this Earth Day. That same year, President Nixon passed the Environmental Protection Act. The purpose of this act was to declare national policy which will encourage productive and enjoyable harmony between man and his environment, to promote efforts which will prevent and eliminate damage to the environment and biosphere, and stimulate the health and welfare of man, and also to enrich the understanding of the ecological systems and natural resources which are important to our nation. And it was also put in place to establish a council on environmental quality. Almost 20 years after this law was passed, recycling still hadn't picked up the way that it was planned. 75% of trash still went to landfills, 13% was incinerated, and only a meager 12% was recycled. In 1996, our production of trash went up to about 17,000 tons, while we still only recycled 4,000 of it. With statistics like this, it's not a matter that requires much thought. Landfill space is constantly being used up, and even the most advanced incinerators still pollute the air. One option stands. Prices on natural resources are escalating and their abundance is dropping. One option remains. Many people do not know the facts about how beneficial recycling actually is and how easy it is to incorporate it into our everyday lives. Some of the most common materials to recycle are paper, plastic, glass, and metals. Plastic recycling affects a range of products, from drink containers to shopping bags to pipes. Plastic is almost always the product of petroleum, a non-renewable resource. This makes recycling plastic even more important. Recycling 1 ton of plastic bottles saves approximately 3.8 barrels of oil. Plastic is an integral part of our daily lives. Lightweight and shatterproof, plastic beverage bottles are among the most commonly used plastics. For this reason, plastic bottles account for a large amount of generated waste, and plastic bottles are among the most recycled plastics. Even so, the plastic bottle recycling rate was only 24.3% in 2005. Recycling 1 ton of plastic saves 7.4 cubic yards of landfill space. Curbside programs often make recycling plastic containers easier now than ever before. Producing new plastic products from recycled materials uses 2/3 less energy than is required to make products from raw material. According to the American Chemistry Council, the demand for recycled plastic exceeds the available supply, and demand is liable to increase given current green trends. Beyond this, the number of plastics recycling business has increased dramatically in the U.S. in recent years. Paper is also one of the most versatile and important materials in our homes, schools, offices, and businesses throughout the world. According to the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency, approximately 35% of the municipal solid waste stream is made up of paper and paperboard products. Paper makes up the largest portion of the municipal waste stream and is also one of the most recovered materials. In 2007, the amount of paper recovered for recycling averaged 360 pounds per every person in the United States. Every ton of paper recycled saves more than 3.3 cubic yards of landfill space. About 254 million Americans have access to curbside or drop-off paper recycling programs. This makes recycling paper simple for everyone. Metals like steel and aluminum also make up everyday products that we all use. Aluminum can recycling provides many environmental, economic, and community benefits to individuals, communities, organizations, companies, and industries. Aluminum cans are unique. Within 60 days, a can is recycled, turned into a new can, and is back on the store shelf. Today, it's cheaper, faster, and more energy efficient to recycle aluminum cans than ever before. The aluminum can is 100% recyclable and can be recycled as many times over. The can remains the most recyclable of all materials. It will take much more effort to confront the problem of recycling. Each individual should be held responsible. It only makes sense to recycle and clean up our planet. Another good thing about recycling is that it's easy to do. In the first BioCycle survey in 1988, in which about 1,000 curbside programs, 700 yard trimming facilities, and 8,000 landfills were identified nationwide. Curbside programs have since then risen 597%. Yard trimmings and compost facilities about 391%. And landfills dropped by nearly 55% in the past 7 years. This shows that people are taking notice to the environment and are starting to help clean it up. Now curbside programs serve nearly 108 million people, which is about 41% of the U.S. population. Landfills are filling up at a fairly fast rate too. Many of the current sites will be closing soon due to lack of space. The largest in their kind is in New York City, and it's nearly full. Then people will have to turn to recycling. The state of New York has now started to send their garbage to Pennsylvania. In 1995, an estimated 2.7 million tons of municipal waste was sent there. Some say it should be the government's position to help out. The government actually has been taking action. In some states, there have been mandates regulating what goes into landfills, trying to keep out materials that could be reused. Other mandatory laws include the banning of styrofoam noodles and packaging and having old shredded newspaper take its place. A recent article in Business Week finds that the disposal taxes being added to charge the producers the cost it takes to dispose of their products is affecting small businesses. This move, of course, discourages manufacturers from making non-recyclable materials. Encouraging the buyers, on the other hand, is the reuse subsidiary policy. This plan rewards companies for using recycled materials by defraying the cost to buy them. Circumstances are nearly at a state where we soon will have to recycle. Do we wait and let our children grow up with the burden, or do we take the challenge ourselves? This is our planet and this is our responsibility, and it's time for a change to happen. Recycling is something every household can incorporate into their lives without much change. Not recycling only hurts you and our surroundings. By doing nothing, the problem will not go away. Each person's efforts do make a difference. Recycling today so it won't hurt tomorrow and turn to waste.